Today, hosts John Emilio and Henry Beltra discuss the importance of self-preservation versus selfishness, the joy of helping others, and the challenges posed by energy bandits. The conversation emphasizes the significance of awareness and personal growth in both the hosts' lives and of their listeners. They delve into the complexities of relationships, emphasizing the importance of self-preservation while navigating interactions with others. They discuss the balance between helping others and maintaining one's own energy, highlighting the need for awareness in recognizing when to engage and when to step back. The conversation also touches on the significance of rest and recovery. Ultimately, they encourage listeners to take inventory of their relationships and energy levels to foster healthier interactions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Universal Lens, a show about mindfulness, a show about mental health, a show that will help you get out from between your ears. I am John Emilio, as always.
Flanked
by this dude.
This dude is Henry Beltra, and you're probably saying, who are you to tell me about mental health? And I agree. Okay.
I think we know something about it.
We've walked the road.
We've definitely, I gotta fix my glasses. We've definitely walked the road, for sure. Not that I need my glasses for this, but
Yeah, you never know.
I'm stuck with my ear. It was like stuck on my ear. Sorry. Technical difficulties. You think when we said we're going to go live, we have it set up, but no.
Yeah.
We start on a whim.
This is where we do our best work.
Yes, unorganized and chaotic.
Life is like that.
Exactly.
Life is unorganized and life is chaotic.
Yeah.
So therefore, because you don't know what's going to be thrown at you, you must be water. And you must flow with whatever's happening. Could be good, could be bad, could be labeled good, could be labeled bad. Flow.
He's good, this guy.
You
know what he's talking about. You.
Nah. I know a lot of guys, but not as good as you.
Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro. So everybody, thank you for coming back. And tuning into episode 90.
We're almost there.
Is it 98?
We're almost there.
What was last week? 98, 97? No, I think this is 99.
99. Yeah, you were saying about the 100 coming up.
So 100th episode, we are toying with the idea of doing it live, which means...
Do it live!
Not that... do it live. God damn, we're live. Not that we do heavy editing, because we really don't.
Yeah.
Actually, I do very minimal editing as far as the show itself in between. It's more the stuff before the show starts, like the graphics and stuff like that. But in the middle, there are episodes where we will edit some stuff out. Sometimes we go off on a tangent that, like, I don't know where the hell it ends up, so we just cut it out because it's natural conversation and it does happen. But very rarely, like out of 98 episodes, I think there's probably 4 or 5 where I've taken like a 5-minute or 8-minute chunk and been like, then we just got into a conversation about something else without realizing it. So we're thinking, by the way, anyway, we're thinking of doing it live, which I think is a great idea. We'd have to pick a day when, our millions of followers and watchers could tune in, and it would be entertaining because, maybe we could do a Facebook Live thing also where we could have people actually typing in and we'd have to answer questions, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that. And so maybe there might be a week pause between this episode and the next one to prepare for it and actually, put the word out there and get people involved and wanted to do it. Cause it will be our 100th episode, which is a
milestone.
It's a major, there's tons of podcasts that stop at 15 or 20 tons. There's also then, a crazy amount that go to 200-300.
Right.
But to do 100 episodes speaking about mindfulness on a daily basis. This is it. Like it's not like we're talking about, current events. And so, the universe, like there's tons of shit to talk about every day and we could just get off and it's literally, we're talking about the same thing, but yet every episode has a different flavor, because it's that applicable to everyday life. So, that's,
But until
good job, guys.
Until the majority of people notice it or are aware of it, and that's the whole purpose of the show, is to bring awareness to you. Until that happens, we're still going to be going at it. we're still going to be here.
Yeah, I think this. I would love to say it wouldn't be, but I unfortunately, I think, fortunately for us, because we get to keep doing something we love, I think the world will be in need for this. This will be a necessary thing for us to do for some time to come.
But you know what's funny?
200 isn't out of the question.
No,
you know where we're going.
You know what's funny about right now, this moment, you know, where we're close to 100 is we hadn't even done one or two, and you had said to me, "Is this something you're willing to do regardless of what happens?" And I said, "Yeah." And here we are, like, independent of 1 or 1,000,000 people listening, following, independent of everything, independent of our schedules, independent of, we always make it work. And it's always a pleasure doing this. And it's always something so fulfilling for us. And I think that's partially why we do it, because the secondary benefit is that we get fulfillment out of it. And yet,
absolutely,
in other words, if the other person doesn't get the value, we still do, you know? And, you know,
yeah, I mean, listen, we obviously we want the other person, we want the people who are watching the show to definitely get value out of it. But we absolutely get value out of it every day, because for us, it's a sharpening of our sword, right? It's a sharpening of our skills. It's a practice. You know, when we're here speaking about this, we're practicing it. We're practicing this on a daily basis with people we speak to. You know, with people Henry gets in, you know, comes in touch with, and his job every day, you know, in real estate. And by the way, I'm sure this is a great tool that he uses, and he's mentioned it on the show, how beneficial it is to have this tool and have this perspective of life when you're dealing with personalities on a daily basis.
That's right.
You know, for me, I run into people constantly. We were just talking before the show, and I said, kind of jokingly, you know, I've had this flux of people kind of coming around me lately and wanted to talk about life and stuff like that. And I told Henry, I was like, it's funny. I was like, lately I just had all these, you know, different personalities coming. I'm attracting people who need mindfulness in their lives lately. And we were kind of just joking about it. And I said, you know what? I go, I really shouldn't joke about it. I go, it's kind of what I ask for every day. Like one of my, what is it? Napoleon Hill. What was that card? Like not affirmation, but like almost like what you put out into the universe, right?
Right. It's the goal that you keep rereading, rewriting, re-repeating.
It's what you're putting out. It's affirmation. It's what you're putting out into the universe that you want, or not that you want, that you have and actually already experienced in life, and it gives you more of it. And mine is, I want to ease the suffering of people in need. That's my thing that I kind of always put out there. And it seems to be, the more I say it, and it sucks because you don't want to see people in pain. You don't want to see people suffering, but I would rather have those people find Henry or find myself, even walking in the street, you know, and it changes their path a little bit. You know, they were going down this path where it was dark and gloomy, and all of a sudden you've opened the sky up for them a little bit, and here's this ray of light that's coming down, and they're seeing the beginnings, because it is a process. We understand this is a process. You don't while enlightenment does happen overnight to certain people, it's far and few in between. Usually it's the suffering and the pain of your own mental anguish, which brings you to that point where you're accepting and you want to now see life in a different way. You know, and we have, if we have this ability to give that person that ray of light, or just divert their path just ever so slightly, where they're not going to run into a wall, but now they're going to skim by that wall because they see things differently, and they could build off of that. That's amazing, right? So that's great.
We get a lot of joy in helping anybody that needs help. Like, it's truly one of the biggest joys that I get is having somebody come to me with something deep and then being marveled at the fact that I can go deep. Like we did together, you know, back in the day, where we went deep, and then you're like, fuck, like, man, who knew? Yeah. Who knew we can uncover layers that were, you know, surface layers, you know, like when you meet people, you don't start talking about your darkest demons or things that go through. No, it's just not common. You don't do that. But yet there are people that will find comfort in talking to us where you open all doors and all of a sudden, oh, I'll go through the door. But what I was going to say is, while that is so joyous for me, like I love doing that.
And it's weird to say that there's joyous for us when somebody's in pain, but it's not
that part.
It's exactly, right. It's that we have the ability to help ease that for the person. That's the joy. Like we have joy in the ability to do it.
So I think if I could pinpoint the joy part, it's somebody walks up to you with a blindfold on, and they're doing this, and then you come over and you lift the blindfold.
Yes.
Oh, and their one eye peeks out, and you're like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's great. So, but what I was going to say is that is like so it's a double-edged sword in the sense that while I enjoy it, I also have a part of me that doesn't enjoy, where most people will just take that advice and roll it off, and they continue blind, you know?
So you can't, and I was actually having this conversation with somebody today. You can't force somebody or coax them into it or make them see it this way.
100%.
You can only offer them the opportunity to say, there's the door, and hold that space with them long enough that they eventually see.
I get that.
Yeah, this is something where it's for the teacher, and I say teacher as if I'm going to play the role of a coach, a life coach, or a teacher, whatever word you want to use, and I'm talking with somebody. My job is to hold space for that person long enough, and I'm learning how to. I hate master the skill, but I'm learning how to do that better and better and better. How to hold space enough with that person until they see it for themselves, instead of, rookie mistakes, which you always talk about, right? And I've done this in the beginning, especially too, where we try to talk you into it or talk it to you.
I'm still in that phase.
Yeah.
I still try to talk people into it.
And there is a talking part of it, right? There's a part of it where we have to have a conversation, and we're going to give you advice, or we're going to mentor you in the ways of mindfulness and things you can do to help change your perspective. Absolutely. There's that talking part's there, but it's allowing that person almost to talk enough while you're holding presence with them, but actively listening and absorbing it, and, giving them a little bit here and there to where they start to say the things you were going to say on their own. And when you see that, you're like, but you see what you just said? That means it's already there in you, because that statement takes an awareness to make, even if it came in hindsight, that awareness, right? It's better than not having it at all. So now your awareness might be a 40-second delay, let's just say, right? Or a minute delay, right? Where it used to be a 2-day delay. Like, you wouldn't have that awareness or that, oh, wow, you know what? I really shouldn't have said that. And I see it now, that the emotion got better 2 days later. But now you're doing it that much closer. And with time, that creeps up to where it starts happening real time. Then it starts happening preemptively, where you're seeing it as it's coming, and you get to curate things as they're happening almost.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is that I don't appreciate the energy bandits, where they just want to come and bitch to you, but when you start offering, that's a good one. You know what I mean?
Energy bandits, energy pirates.
So they come and you're going to be a sucker all the time because you're open to help and discuss with anybody, but they come in, they lay a load of crap on you, and you're about to, my God. Okay. All right. So I guess I'm the guy where you just unload the crap.
Oh, there is. So if that's something that's happening more and more and more with certain people in your life, or whoever it might be, there are things you can absolutely do. You could remove yourself from that situation quickly and not sit there and let that person be your, and they'll catch it. They'll catch on eventually if you're not trying to, if they just unload and there's nothing from you. They'll realize that you're not trying to tell them, oh, in life and this and that and the other thing. If they don't see it, then they don't see it, and that's it. But it does. I get what you're saying. It does suck, because there is a certain amount of like, especially in the beginning when you're doing this and you're trying to help people, if you're not experienced enough and realizing what an energy bandit is, or somebody who's like that, or people who just love to complain, right? They're complainers. That's their whole sole purpose in life is to bitch, moan, complain, talk about this, gossip about that, drama, gossip, complain, and those people tend to unknowingly want to suck for they want to just take your energy because that's how they survive. The more that they can do that and engage you, the more that part of them feeds and gets energized. But when you cut it off, just like what I say before, I put my outlet covers down. Like, like kids, when you have a baby, you put the covers in the outlet so they don't stick even though back in the day we tell them, yeah, put the paper clip in there, see what happens. But we you put the covers over it so you can't get hurt. Same thing with this. If that person's there, drop your outlet cover down, which means they can't plug into you because you're not allowing them to plug into you. Even if you have to sit there for 5 minutes and listen to, the complaining and the nonsense and the drama and pointless. It's pointless. It's not cathartic venting like, I need somebody to talk to right now. I'm going to, and no, that's different, right?
There's a purpose to this.
There's a purpose to that. I need to speak to somebody right now. Like, I feel like I got it. Oh, that's different. Like you need an outlet right now. Yeah. You're desperate and let's go. Okay. Plug in. It's the person who just wants to drop, unload like a dump truck, leave it, drop and go, okay, I'll see you guys later. And they want to pull away. Those people, you put the cover down, but yeah, energy bandits can be unfortunate, but I mean, we don't get to pick and choose.
No, it was kind of the thing we were talking about is at what point do you have to have self-preservation? And
we talked about that before, yeah.
And what was the other? Self-preservation versus
selfishness. Yeah, so there's a big difference.
So you could be.
So can we preface it a little bit? So self-preservation. So this came up. I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were trying to make a point between taking care of yourself, and I'm talking more of a centered, organizing yourself. Mindfully watching what's happening inside of you so you get to know you better and your automatic thoughts, your automatic behaviors, your automatic reactions, emotions. You understand those better. So that's when we say self-preservation, it's learning how to own who you are first. Let's master this part. Selfishness, while they both sound the same thing, well, isn't that you being selfish? Selfishness is no, it's all about me. So self-preservation is me like dropping the oxygen mask comes down. I got to put this on first because if I don't breathe, you're going to die because I'm not going to be able to help you put yours on. Like I need to center this. I need to make sure this is healed. I need to make sure this is able so then I can be a benefit to you. So that's self-preservation or taking yourself away out of a toxic situation. Selfishness is completely different, right? Selfishness is, no, it's what I want. Like, this is in my no, it's about me. Right. Fuck all of you.
All day.
It's about me. So those two words again toe a very like the line. Even though the definitions could, when you really break them down, especially in this world, are monumentally different, polar opposites. But on the surface level, they could seem like they're very self-preservation. John, doesn't that mean that you just want to preserve yourself? You want to take care of yourself and fuck everybody else? No, it means I have no benefit to you if I allow everybody to suck me dry constantly of energy and whatever I have and I don't allow myself to be able to say, no, this is something that there's no benefit for me to engage in. You're an energy vampire or an energy bandit. You're looking to no, I'm going to preserve this so then I can be useful when needed to be useful. Selfishness is more the other person who wants to be an energy bandit. So yeah, I mean, that's huge difference between the both, but a mindful person understands what self-preservation means, right?
And sometimes as a mindful person, you have a big heart and you mean well, and you don't ever even you may not even know, or you may know that the person before you is an energy bandit.
Yeah,
but you're still going to give that person your undivided attention, and then you are listening intently so you can help somehow. You can put up a guidepost that's going to help them, see, because again, as you know, you don't teach anybody anything. They learn. You don't teach.
That's awesome. Yeah, but that's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's when things adhere. Because when you're teaching or when you're professing, concepts, words just go by the person. But when they are learning, because you're guideposting, they learned. So that stuck because they learned it. It wasn't that, you threw the ball, they caught it. You throw balls and it's going right by them. It's when they pick up the ball and I got it. Like, okay, you got it because you did it by yourself, not because I threw anything at you. But certainly you held up some guideposts. But if you're not careful and enough energy banditing goes around you, you won't have self-preservation. You actually find yourself, because we've talked about all the time, when you surround yourself or you're constantly thinking about something negative, or all of a sudden these things start to manifest around you and you didn't call for it. You didn't want it. It was good intentions, but at some point you got to put on the blinders. What do you call the covers? You got to put on the covers because there's somebody pulling you the wrong way, and it's for naught. It's for no good reason. It's just for somebody to maybe hear themselves vent because there's no purpose. There's no pot at the end of the rainbow. There's nothing. There's just, here we go again. Here we go. Another a few minutes of nuttiness from Wacko Johnson over here. But you got to know when to say, like you said. So I learned a lot from how I've seen you handle stuff, and I started handling similarly when like things are negative and I don't want to take part in it. I bite my tongue because the old version of me would have probably participated. And that's part of everything that we always said in mindfulness, where the complaining, like take complaining out of your, not vocabulary, but out of your ability to, because you'll catch yourself complaining here and there, but it's nothing like before. And the fact that you don't do it, you don't perpetuate it. So whatever it was that you were complaining about, it's going to perpetuate, because every time you open your mouth and you give it energy, there it comes again.
You morph it, sure.
So same thing with that person who's energy banditing you, robbing you of your good energy. It's going nowhere. Self-preserve mode.
Yeah.
And then
that's the whole point.
Once it's done.
Well, and it's very important to be able to do that. So if you are a spiritual teacher, you're a mindfulness teacher, you're a meditation teacher, or whatever in this world, whatever label or role you are, if you listen to the show, you probably already understand what we're talking about, because you have to deal with different personalities. And when those people do come to you, people who are looking really to change their lives, we always say there's a willingness there, and they understand the difference once you explain it to them between self-preserving yourself. Like the person I was talking to today got it. Like they understood what I was talking about right away. Like they saw the difference between self-preservation and a selfish person, right? Selfish person is much different. But the unaware person won't see the difference. The unaware person who's still, completely controlled by their ego and is, overtaken by their thinking mind, is going to think selfishness, like me. Okay, I got to take it. But it could even be in an innocent way. But if they're not aware, they'll still be happening. Like, no, I have to take care of me first. Like, this is, screw everybody. I got to take care of me first. This is about me. It's about my chi, my inner. Okay, but you could even go too far. You could go too far with that, right? There's a balance in that, right? So I'm not being selfish if I'm with somebody who's in a very dramatic, complaining atmosphere or realm at this moment. I'm not being selfish by saying there's nothing for me to add. It's me not engaging because I don't want to I'm trying. And by the way, by being in self-preservation in that mode, when you do cut off, you're actually giving that person a lesson. a quiet. You're teaching them without saying anything.
But they got to catch it.
They got to catch it. But so listen, a teacher could tell you 2 + 2 is 4, but unless you want to sit there and do it and understand what 2 + 2 is, like a math teacher or a school teacher, the teacher could only show you,
right.
But you have to do it. Like I was always taught, my first day in therapy, my therapist, she looked at me, and again, Dr. Tatiana Mistechkina, it was based in mindfulness. This is how I realized it. She looked at me, she goes, I have the roadmap. She goes, you're behind the wheel. I will say, maybe we go left. She goes, you could turn right, but you're going to go down that path. And I could tell you again, maybe we go left. So it's like, I could give you the direction, but you have to make turns. So for me to sit here and not say anything the first time, the second time, if you show up a third time, right? Because some people get turned off and they think you're being standoffish, dismissive.
He doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit about that I want to bitch and moan about this or that or the other thing.
It's completely misconstrued.
It is, but they're totally not off base either, because it's not that I don't give a shit. It's just I'm just not going to engage it. But you hope that person eventually, by coming back a few times, now they start to realize, they start to see themselves complaining in your non-reaction to their complaining.
Yeah.
Like they start to, you hope that this is what happens. Yeah, my father-in-law, my mom, this, that. And then they come back, oh, did you hear this? And the other thing, and that one's a pain in the ass. And oh my God, did you hear what happened here? And that one, that. And then they come back and they go, God, all I do is complain. And that's when you go, yes.
I'll raise my hand for that one.
You've seen it, but now
I've been it.
But hold on, you learned. You got, you know how beautiful it is when somebody sees it for themselves, because now it's not being force fed. You're not teaching them it. You're not telling them, well, this is how you should live life. They realize it. Then you could drop, then whatever insights you drop hit hard. Like they land. Like that's when you could tell them, yes, do you see the energy you're when you could be focusing on, when you could shift your perspective to, now you see it. But until they actually see it, the rest of those words, they could be helpful, but unless they're willing to really understand and see like what's happening in them by you sitting there sometimes and just holding presence. Like people like, so you're going to pay a coach or a teacher to sit there in silence and not say much. Sometimes that's what's required. Like sometimes my words aren't going to do anything. My words are just going to be static in your head. Sometimes me not saying anything allows you to process it on your own, and then you come to that realization. And so while I know everything I want to tell you, until you're willing and ready in a receptive area to hear it, how beneficial is it? It's just going to be words. I'm going to go, fucking this guy with the mindfulness shit again. Yeah, kumbaya, I get it, John. I understand. Yeah. Well, that's not reality. Okay, that's not reality then. Yeah, and again, I was actually something else I told the person. I said, unfortunately, in this realm of life, there will be people who might fade away. I go, but you have to ask then there's a question. Okay, what am I losing by this person fading away? And that's something you ask yourself, and depends on the situation and how important that relationship is, or whatever it is. That's something you have to decide for yourself. But the people who would understand that I'm not being dismissive, I'm just not engaging for your benefit as well as my own. There's a reason why I'm doing that. It's not out of love. It's not that I don't give a shit. It's not that he doesn't care. It's not that the person doesn't care. No. We're going to self-preserve this, so then when it's time or when you're ready, this is going to be worth more to you. Because if I don't self-preserve and I fall into that selfishness role also, go, yeah, you're right. Do you believe what that guy said? Do you believe the president? Do you believe the secretary? Do you believe this? Do you believe that? Oh my God, the neighbor, the person, this, that, the other thing, bitching and moaning about everything in life. I'm exhausting myself now. Now I'm falling out of presence, so I'm no use to you at all. Like that's it. I'm not a mirror. I'm basically, I've gone from standing in front of you trying to show you a reflection to standing next to you, and we're both looking the same way.
If coming from a non-religious angle, there's also a divinity to that person exiting your life at that moment, because people can come in and out, but there is a sort of organized chaos happening in the universe where if that person exited your life because you were just, I mean, every time I go over, it's like I'm talking to a corpse, bro. You're like the mindfulness guy. When I come over, it's like I'm like you're a corpse. And they understood the wrong lesson. So therefore they screw this guy.
Yeah.
So they got the wrong message. But somehow in that exit, in that wrong message, at some point down their journey, they might do an about face and go, oh, it might hit, and they might circle back.
And they might circle back. Yeah.
And then when they circle back, it's a different thing. It's a little different. You don't have to even, actually, you lift the covers and you say, is this a new thing we're doing here? It is. Okay. And if not, there it goes again, because you got to self-preserve. Yeah, depending on the relationship with the person that comes in and out. But it's I would say, going to be a common event where people are complaining, gossiping, because gossip is another one. And you don't want to take part in it. And your non-taking part in it is going to probably be received to the other person. Oh, all right. Well, there goes that. I guess you don't want to hang out with me anymore because every time I come over, every time I tell you, you don't want to participate. And they're not understanding.
Yeah, it's not for a lack of wanting to participate. It's for the content isn't beneficial.
And you may love the person.
Because yeah, it's secondary.
Because
right?
But all these signals are
but that's a self-preservation part of it. You could, and that's why I'm so happy you said that. You can love the person, and it could be difficult when it's somebody that you care about, but continues because they're an important part of your life, right? A close family member, a very close friend, anybody could be, but somebody that this is a good person. They're not an asshole. They're not toxic, but they bleed you dry when you're with them. And you don't want to lose that person. And it's tough. But that's where the self-preservation comes really in handy, because now it's like, okay, I have to toe this balance, this like that sweet spot in between preserving this, but okay, do I want to lose this person in my life? And it's not that I want to lose the person in my life, but is the person, you find out how important that relationship is. Right? In that moment, you'll find out how it is, how important it is. But that's where the self-preservation comes in so handy, because you have the ability now to, all right, I want to try to help this person, but I'm going to try to do it. But I have to maintain this in order to.
I'm hungry.
I have to maintain this in order to help that person eventually. And if it's somebody you care about, that's why I say that part of self-preservation is there's active listening in there. Sometimes total silence isn't what's required. Every situation is different. So there's no, there's no, one size fits all for this. It's not, it's tailored to the situation, to the person you're dealing with. And if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, and this is something you do on a daily basis, you know that every client or every person you talk to is different, right? So you pick up their cadence, you pick up their energy, where they're coming from, and you'll know, okay, is this person far gone and just bitching and moaning about everything? And hopefully you get them to come along. But if it's somebody you know well enough, there should be an ability for you to kind of mold, and maybe not mold, to manipulate a little bit, where you self-preserve, but you're able to engage them just enough because there's already a relationship built there. So maybe with a client that you're just meeting or somebody you just met, you don't know the person well enough where you just sit there and you act as a mirror for them and let them just go. Especially if they're a client. Now, listen, it's your job and your duty to be there for that person and hold that space. When it's somebody that is maybe you're really closer to, of a relative that's coming to you for help or something, you know them. So I already know this person's personality. I know what their quirks are. I know what their hangups. I know their triggers. So you could kind of, manipulate it.
The holidays.
Huh?
Like the holidays.
But it's not a manipulate where you control it and you try to steer it. It's more of just going to nudge a little bit this way. just so maybe I could get one little insight in something in that'll maybe take them down a notch a little bit, right? So it can be trickier with family members or friends that are very close to you. But I think that's where a benefit that you do have, if you're doing this, a benefit you do have is you do know them, you do have a history with them, so you should be able to, to a certain point, be able to manipulate that a little bit where maybe you could get them to see something, right? Because you understand already where they're coming from. Now, that person, you could also look at that person and go, I know this person's they're just like, it's ego. That's it. Nothing else. Nobody else is home. The lights aren't home. It's the brain is just running the show. Like the lights are off. Wherever that awareness is, unfortunately, it's in the dark still. There's no light on it at all. It's covered by a
rubble.
What are they? The shades. What do they call the dark shades? The
nighttime, the dark room darkening.
Room darkening shades. They're down all the way. And okay, so there's only so much you could do there too, right? But yeah, so if you're preserving your own energy and your own balance and your own centeredness and not allowing yourself to get caught up in other people's drama, it's great, right? But understanding there is a difference. There's a major difference between being a selfish person and a person who self-preserves. And if you're an aware person, the selfishness is something that's apparent to you immediately. Like when that line starts to get crossed, you know it right away. When you enter this world, you start to feel differences in the way things are playing out. Like you're aware that this is going to be selfish. Like if I do that, that's me wanting more than me just trying to. And there might be a time where wanting more of something might be beneficial and it might be needed for you, and that's fine. But you'll know when, am I just being selfish right here where I just want to tell them my story, where I have to tell them, look what I did, and I'm not really holding space, preserving my energy, and allow myself to be here for them. Like there's a big difference between both. There is.
There is. Man. So just doing this show, like you learn so much. Like again, when I say you, I mean me. I continuously learn. I can totally see this freaking show becoming required listening as part of a therapy program that somebody's going through, and be like, listen, you come here, you have your hour session with me during the week. I want you to listen to that show. I could totally see that because I guess. We're a soft anchoring, weekly, continuous, soft learning, soft. It's almost like you reinforce what you learn in therapy, you reinforce what you did in therapy, then you listen to it in the show, and then we give so many real life practical examples that I could totally see as being like running parallel to some sort of therapy that somebody does on a one-on-one, and then say, you know what, listen to this also, which will help. It's crazy. It's I learn all the time, and like until today when you mentioned the self-preservation and being selfish, I'm like, yeah, I never actually thought of it that way, that angle. But you think of it in terms of what you're doing at the moment that you're doing it, but you never say, wow, the comparison, the compare and contrast. Like, yeah, I guess I could be perceived as selfish. Or I guess I could, should be preserving myself more, or instead of
giving all the time, which we were saying before, right?
Yeah,
that's a big downfall of certain people.
Because if you're giving all the time, that's and there's going to be times in your life where hard decisions have to be made.
So the person who, and we were talking about this before, the person who gives all the time. Like, and listen, that's a very noble thing to do, right? I'm not knocking giving all the time, but you give.
Oh, you mean like a donation?
Donation or either time, money, whatever it might be. However however you're giving, and you're giving, and you're giving, and you don't say no, and you're giving, and you're giving, and you're giving, and you keep going. Where's yourself? So if you're a person out there who could relate with that, because that was me at one point in my life, I didn't know how to say no to somebody. I didn't know how. it was almost like I felt guilty if I said no to a person. And it wasn't saying no because I don't want to be bothered. It wasn't saying no because it was just, how do I not help somebody? How do I not help somebody else? How do I not do this? And it could be, there are times where, yes, helping somebody is important. Absolutely. It's what we do that's what what we do on a daily basis. But I'm talking like when it's when you're doing it above and beyond what is required at this point. Now you're just giving because you feel you have to. I have to give it. I have to do it. You said donations. I have to donate to this. If I donate to this, I should donate to this. I should donate to that. I should donate to that. I should donate to everybody. And I should help this one. I should help that one. I should help you. I should help him. I should help her. Hold on a second. When do I get to take a breath and breathe? When do I get to reset? So that's where self-preservation comes in. And it's okay to say, no, I'm not going to give to this right now. I'm not going to engage this right now because I need to recoup me. Right. You know, you can't go 24/7, 365.
Otherwise, you're chewing gum.
Yes, or else you're chewing gum. You need to hone this in every once in a while. So the person who gives constantly, as noble as it is, as noble as it is, that person tends to run themselves to exhaustion, where they can't give anymore, can't do anymore, and now they're not useful to anybody else around them because they didn't know when to say, okay, this person really needs my help. This person just wants to bitch and moan right now. So that's what I'm kind of trying to say. Like that person sit there and go, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they are. And no, yes. And by the time the conversation's over, you're like this. You're exhausted and you don't know why you're exhausted, but you're exhausted because that person's just been taken from you because you didn't know how to say no in that moment. You didn't know how to preserve yourself. You just figure, I got to give my attention to everybody. But your attention is also, it's finite. It's not infinite. There's only a finite amount of attention you can put out before you are exhausted mentally, physically, and there is now a drain that's happened to you, and now you have to recoup that. And it could take a little bit of time for that to recoup. But if you learn how to balance that, somebody's in crisis, right? Somebody might say, well, if somebody's in crisis, obviously you help that person. I'm talking about the person who doesn't know how to say no to anybody. They don't know how to cut a conversation off. They don't know how to shut themselves down. They don't know how to protect themselves. They're open to everybody and everything all the time. Every event, every charity, whatever, everything that comes up that they feel, okay, what, yes. Okay, what, yes. You're constantly outgoing. Okay, well, when does it come back to you? When are you going to reset yourself? So then, by the way, you are a benefit to that person who is in crisis mode. And now you have the energy and the ability to be able to sit there with them, right? Even, what was it? I don't know if anybody watches the show Chosen. You haven't seen it? There's a scene where there was a day where and again, not a religious thing, but this is a great metaphor for it, where he was doing miracles all day. At the end of the day, he walks by, walking, limping, like he had just gone 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. And all he said to everybody was, his apostles, I think, wanted to ask, teacher, I need to go to sleep. He was, after a day of helping people, he told his own followers, I need to go to sleep. I need to rest. I'm done. Not that I don't love, not that I don't care, not that I don't want to be here. But watch this. Click, shut down. I need to recoup myself.
I have,
right?
I have to. Otherwise, I'm going to die right here.
Or else, so even one of the greatest teachers, if you want to go, right? One of the OG teachers of mindfulness and spirituality and all that, understood, as the story goes, that I have to shut down right here, right now, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to say. Like, if you're a person who you feel you're being exhausted daily by everything, take inventory. What's exhausting me daily? What around me is draining me constantly? And then you can start to find, well, it's not this person who's going through a rough patch and they need somebody to talk to, and they want to say, hey, I'm in a dark place, I need somebody to talk to. No, it's the person who keeps coming back to you, and all they do is suck dry, and leave. So, and once you're aware, you take inventory, it'll become very apparent who those people are in your life.
Yeah.
And you can start to curate your time a little bit better, where you could not expose yourself to it. as much.
You know, it's funny. This whole conversation brings in my mind. So my mental Rolodex has been played with.
Does anybody know what
And-
Rolodex is actually?
And we found a file in back here, and there was a woman, friend of my mother. Now my mother, you know, passed away young, but here's the irony: her best friend was a saint. This woman also passed away young. Imagine two stories. But forget about my mom for a second. This woman was she lived in an abusive household, in the sense she lived with a husband who abused her. But I only give that as a little bit of background info, where this is the woman that everybody went to because she was a saint. She was an incredible listener. Her heart was right here always.
Yeah.
So I think what happened to her is she did that. She was guilty of running that niceness.
She ran the engine hot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me explain what happened. So this woman was like I said, just a beautiful soul, but you can see how slowly but surely she wasn't an aware person, in the sense, you know, she was still blinded.
But she had a good heart, good
like,
morals.
You just beautiful.
Yeah, salt of the earth.
Absolutely. And slowly but surely things turned. Like, you can see that she became more this, like, psychosis, like psychological. Something is happening here right before our eyes, because it was like she even went to the church. She was active here, active there, and the alcohol started. And yeah, you saw it, like there was no balance. There was no balance.
A metamorphosis kind of happened.
You saw it happen slowly but surely, but you're thinking at some point it never stopped. One day we found her dead in her bed.
Wow.
What? Like, that was the level, and she was probably 53.
And you think it was just because she ran herself constantly, like as an
She was that kind of person. Yeah, she absolutely the most.
This need to always help. The need to help anybody and everybody all the time, 24/7.
It didn't matter who. It didn't matter, and it was like helping. Done. What do you need? What the, like, that Mother Teresa kind of character.
Yeah, they use the analogy of Mother Teresa, but
right.
I can guarantee
analogous, not obviously. But imagine, like, she's at home and she, you know, when I say abusive house, I'm not okay. She I know she was physically, but it's not like continuous. It's like the occasional what happened. You know, we don't want to talk about it. But even that, she stayed. In other words, there's only a certain amount of beating you can take.
Yeah, mentally, physically, emotionally.
And she was getting it from all angles. You know what I mean?
And it'll wear you down.
And I think it just took a toll. And, like, people find solace in drinking and drugs or whatever it is.
Because they work to a certain extent.
Because they didn't have that self-preservation.
Yeah.
If she would have had some self-preservation sense,
or awareness. The awareness would have given her the self-preservation.
She would. I mean, I'm telling you, it would have been so perfect for her to understand mindfulness. But of course, you know, hindsight is 20/20. You know. No,
well, you're talking about somebody, unfortunately, who passed away years ago.
Right.
But yeah, if this would have been something that was more prevalent in her life, she probably would have made. She would have made decisions, which would have been more for her to know how to disconnect and preserve herself from situations that are toxic or are draining constantly. Look, there's going to be times where we're all in situations that are going to be draining. We're not saying here avoid anything that's going to be draining. That's not reality of life. It's to understand where you could curate those and take inventory of those. All right, here's something that's just constantly a drain on me. I don't get nothing from it. Like, this person is just selfish as is. They want to bitch and moan and complain and drop their shit on my doorstep and then leave over and over and over again. You could curate that and be, okay, this is something maybe I could do less of, right? But unless you have this basic, well, we all have the basic awareness. Unless you're aware, as Eckhart Tolle says, it's great. He goes, unless you're aware that you're aware, right? Because if you're an aware person, you get what that means. Like right away, you understand. If you're aware that you are aware, so if you realize the lights are actually on and you're like, holy shit, the lights are on, then this makes sense to you immediately what it means to be able to say, I can't help everybody all the time. But if you're a person who is 100%, the mind says, and the mind can say something beneficial. Like you could have a great heart and your mind's going to say, we got to help everybody. This is a great thing. Like we're good people. We want to just help people. Yes, true. But you have to know how to cool your engine. I'll give you like a car analogy. You race a car around the lap, you do 2-3 laps, and they have what's called a cool down lap. On the cool down lap, the car coasts the lap. It means you're coasting. You're not giving the car acceleration. You're allowing the cold air from outside to run through the car and for the engine to cool down, for the brakes to cool down before you go and you stop. It's a cool down lap. You're running on a treadmill. What do they do when you're done? You do a cool down at the end, right? You're running at 5 miles an hour. You take it down now to 1, and you do a walk for 1 or 2 minutes. You give the body a chance to cool down. It's the same thing with this. Like, with awareness, you realize and you know how to cool down. And the cool down here is, there's no tapping in right now.
It's pacing.
It's a pacing. Very, very important. So if you're a mindfulness teacher, or if you're a spiritual teacher, or if you're a meditation teacher, if you're a mother, you're a father, you're a sister, you're an uncle, you see where I'm going with this? If you're a friend, if you're anybody, this is applicable. What we talk about is applicable to everybody with a heartbeat, because it means you're alive. If you're alive, this helps you. Yeah, if you're not, then you've gone to the place where the awareness goes afterwards, and I'll see you someday. But if you're alive still, you have a heartbeat. This is applicable. Learn how to preserve yourself and know the difference between preserving your own energy so you're useful to the people around you, to the person who is selfish and just wants more and more and more. There's a difference between being a selfish person and a self-preserving person. And also understand that even the good people, the people who, like this poor lady, heart of gold, nice woman, wants to help everybody. Like I said, I can honestly tell you, this was me years ago. I would run myself hot trying to prove to myself I'm a good person, so I'm going to help everybody. So my mind was burning me out at one point because I wanted to prove I'm a good, like I need to help. If I don't help somebody, I'm not doing something good. But it was coming at a cost, and I was allowing everybody to tap into me constantly, and it's draining. So if you have that awareness, you'll realize it. You're not being mean. You're not being unkind. You're not being unloving. You're realizing, I got to plug my battery in. Yeah. You will just drain me right now. So I'm going to, and just, there's nothing here for you. Are you on? I'll sit here because you're here. You don't have to get up and walk away if the person's not doing something like malicious to you, but you can still sit there, and like you get to the point where I could cut it off and nothing, zero. Like if my mind wants to engage, you watch the mind and you sit there and you watch it and you don't engage it. And all of a sudden you feel the difference in your body. You feel that you're not being, your thermostat sitting right at the sweet spot. It's not running hot. You're not getting cold. You're idling, and you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, I can sit here and idle. It's kind of a skill you get, but you only realize it if you're aware. How do you become aware? Listen to more of this. Read a book. Practice meditation. Go to play. Find out. Sit with yourself and start to see how your mind works, and then you'll start to see your own, faults, the things that trip you up, your own triggers, and they'll help you, immensely.
Yeah. On your journey, don't be afraid to autocorrect. And if you find that you did not want to engage, so you notice you didn't want to engage, so you stop right there. Because sometimes you can get suckered into it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this isn't, it's not a science.
Right.
So
we were discussing that as well before, where I will go down a path. I will go on a tear and then say, hey, I just went on a tear. You're like, yeah, you did. I'm like, yeah, I know. I do that sometimes because we're human. So if you find that this energy vampire is goading you and all of a sudden you took the bait, it's okay.
Goading. I like that.
You took the bait for a minute, and then you noticed it, reeled it back in.
Yeah, and you'll see that, by the way, when you do that, you'll see that you're able to balance yourself out real quickly again. Like, there's not going to be like, I can't believe this person did this to me. All right. And you go down a rabbit hole of, I can't believe I allowed this person to do this to me. Okay. And you could let it pass or watch that thought come and go as often as it wants and still sit there understanding you're watching it. And I know you wanted to talk, and we didn't do it this week. Maybe we'll do it for the 100th episode. Your relationship with the watcher. We didn't do that. That was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, because I was listening to the episode today in the truck when I was driving, because all my podcasts kind of play, and our own podcast comes up, and I'll enjoy my own podcast.
Right.
Our own podcast,
Of course.
you know, and you wanted to talk about your relationship with the watcher. That'll be something cool to get into.
Yep.
But yeah, knowing the difference is huge. So I hope if you're out there and you're listening, and maybe you sitting around going, you know what? I always feel exhausted. I wonder why. Take inventory. Take inventory to what you're doing on a daily basis, who you're engaging with, the conversations you're constantly having, and see who's just literally plugging into you without you realizing it and using you as a generator. And they're just draining you by goading you, great word, right? Goading you into maybe conversations that you wouldn't want to have. You wouldn't want to engage. You wouldn't want to expend energy there. You'd rather use that amount of energy that you have for this beautiful day somewhere else.
So, as you can see, I bring the vocabulary to the table.
He does for sure. And we'll talk more about the 100th episode.
Yeah.
And doing it live. I think this is going to be something we are going to do.
Why not?
We'll do it live. And I mean, nothing changes for us. I'm still looking at a camera.
Sure. Why not?
And
Do that.
maybe well, do
Yeah,
a live
live,
episode.
yeah. It's fantastic.
I wish I could plug that meme in from that guy. We're gonna do it live. God damn it, we're gonna do it live. So that'll be fun. I mean, if anybody has any topics they'd like to hear about or talk about, let us know. Or else maybe we'll do a summary montage of 100 episodes of the Universal Lens.
You see, this is
A little bit of fanfare.
this is
Banners, and I'm sure
this is
have
what
a
I'm
big party.
I think I should sit here with a pen and a paper sometimes, because as this show was going, something came up and I was like, oh, that's a great topic. Don't ask me now what it is. But at the moment,
Write it in your phone.
I had it like, oh.
Keep a notepad open and just type it in.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've opened my shower door and said, hey, Siri, like, come on, add note, blah, 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 blah,
That's
blah.
good.
Because by the time I get out of the shower, dry myself off, brush my teeth, dry my hands,
Gone.
it's gone. Like I'll be like, that was a great thing to talk. Wow. Like that's groundbreaking in my head. It was groundbreaking. But there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was that me or you?
That was you.
Oh, wow. Anyway, so everybody, thanks for tuning in again.
We are super, super grateful for everybody who follows, everybody who comments, everybody who's got something to say. You have an issue, let us know. You want some advice? Hey, poke either one of us. Subscribe, like,
careful when you
share.
poke.
Yeah, don't. Hey, not that kind of poke.
Yeah, like, share, sponsor if you like, whatever works.
we're not allergic to sponsorships.
No,
We
man.
really aren't.
If you're out there, you're a philanthropist and you want to help support a great cause. I was listening to another podcast today and they were asking for sponsors. Another great podcast, Men Talking Mindfulness, right? It's basically, it's us, but two other guys.
They're not as good as us.
No, I mean, come on. This is
Top
yeah,
of the iceberg.
this type of the iceberg. No, they're really good. And they were saying this kind of the same thing. Like, listen, they go, we're running in the red. We won't mind running in the black once in a while. I was like, that's a good one. I like that.
We're not. I mean, look,
I'm not
Apple
opposed to capitalism.
Apple has come out with a great product, folks. Sleek design,
Yeah.
slim.
If we got Apple to sponsor us, I think that'd be pretty damn good. But no, anyway, if anybody's out there and they have anything they'd like to hear about, let us know. But like Henry said, like, subscribe, follow. That's probably the biggest compliment you could give us is following along and
Yeah.
checking in every week. I know we have a decent amount of very loyal people who check in every week. We hear from them a lot. Just even walking around and stuff like that. So, but if you do, please share it. Also, if you know somebody in your life who could benefit from this, don't be one of those people, please, who I don't want to tell anybody because this kind of sounds weird. Understand that don't suffer in silence. Don't don't do that. Like, you never know. You never know who this might affect and how it could change their lives. Right. So put aside the egoic part of your mind that says, I want people to know that I listen to this mumbo jumbo kumbaya stuff, which it's not. But that's like the stereotype that happens sometimes.
Most people don't understand.
Don't understand it. If you know somebody in your life who could benefit, say, hey guys, there's a podcast, check them out. Just a simple fact that that's another person we could help. That's really it. Like, there's nothing else more. There's another person who could get a benefit from it. So
very good.
I don't know. I'll keep going if you don't shut the camera off. All right. Peace, love, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. For this good-looking man on my right and this other man on my sitting in this chair.
This good-looking man on my left.
Have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you for number 100.
That's true.
Oh, if we had some crazy music right now that would drop in.
Do this.
No, I don't think it works. Does it?
Come on.
No, it won't work. Now we look like morons. Hey, like the Fonz. No, I don't know. I might have. Oh, wait. Did it happen? No.
No?
No, I don't think it happened.
All right, how about this?
I think that's an Italian. You're number one. All right, anyway, love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.